hour, the wellness hour. Usually our second hour is almost always wellness issues, although sometimes we have other guests. And we have Ryan, one of our top people at NutriMeds, and our new
hey, Dr. Bill.
Product developments. And, first off, I want to thank you for all the work we've done over the years for you and the amazing NutriMed team in developing new nutraceuticals and solutions. And I want to put this out to people because I don't think that people in general understand it. In fact, I'm just redoing my insurance, so I'm going to be connecting with doctors that are involved with integrative medicine down at the Scripps Clinic here in La Jolla, which is like this super university town here in Southern California in San Diego County. Functional medicine, which is what we're talking about always on the Nutrimedical Report, incorporates surgery, imaging studies, toxicology, immunology, genetics, epigenetics, quantum biology, etc. It's all-encompassing. It includes chiropractic, naturopathy, herbology. It includes infectious disease. It includes everything. And the thing that's amazing is it's always evidence-based, whether it's using quantum technology, blood tests, or imaging studies that are openly available. For example, when we talk about thyroid, and most people are aware that 30 times more common than antithyroid antibodies, which is thyroiditis that usually starts off with an aglandular virus infection, has a time course over 12 to 18 years to eventually burn your thyroid out. And you can find antithyroglobulin and microsomal antibodies. But most people aren't aware. I brought the test from Germany 36 years ago with the head of pathology at the University of Calgary from Germany, because the Germans are very advanced in their technology, for RT3 or reverse thyroid hormone. And I was measuring levels of T3 and reverse T3. In fact, there was a period of time there where 99.9% of all the T3, reverse T3 tests done in North America were done by me and Dr. Otto Ewan. Now, the problem is that the medical profession shuns innovation, but it's starting to realize its business model is stupid. You don't maintain a population so that they can die of another cause, including amplified by toxic polypharmacy, because many of the drugs we give actually create toxic states or deficiency states, or actually block enzymes that are protective, like you lose CoQ10 if you take an HMG-CoA reductase inhibitor. So I want people to understand what we're preaching here in Nutrimedical is the next generation of medicine. I'm particularly switching to go to the Integrative Wellness Center at Scripps because I want an integrative doctors to be helping me to keep my health up. And I want to also contribute my technology, which includes not only the best NutriMeds, but mild hyperbaric oxygen, epigenetic therapy, which we call morphogenic field therapy, entrainment of tissues to heal the body, and advanced things like stem cell therapy and peptides from the Russian Academy of Sciences with Dr. Kavinson. So people need to understand, I have cases where we have people that are in, say, end-stage congestive heart failure, dilatory cardiomyopathy with 50% cardiac index, and in 6 weeks we get them back to where they're doing more than a full-time job. We have people that have MS, we put them into remission, and it doesn't matter where they are in the world, with NutriMeds. We have cases where we augment their cancer treatment because they get gene-based cancer treatment with our NutriMeds like malignant rest, malignant block, etc., and we actually are able to conquer their cancer and put them into remission with a combination of our NutriMeds, ketogenic alkaline diet, and the use of gene-based cancer treatment, which is off-label use. So you need to understand out here, what we're providing for you is incredibly unique, cutting edge, and it's not just NutriMeds, but they're the center post. So Ryan, what we're putting together here is a whole new kind of medicine, where not only are we able to do diagnostic tests like through directlabs.com, but also tests like QRMA, bioplasma, and metapathia, which are quantum biological testing developed by the Russian Space Agency and Dr. Nestorov and his team over the last 50 years plus. But we have the technology of nutraceuticals, which are of a grade and power that are so bioavailable, so bioconverted over gene defects, there's no comparison to other vitamins and nutraceuticals elsewhere. And they're put together in artful combinations because the art and science of medicine has to have both art and science, or it won't be effective. The problem right now, that medicine by and large has no art to it and has very little science, and when they kill people or cause complications, they go, whoops, well, we're still having a good quarterly profit. We don't mind if we killed 65,000 people with premature heart attacks with a new drug or cause them to commit suicide. That's not acceptable. So I want to thank you for all the work you've done over the years, and a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, because we've got new nutraceuticals coming and new protocols coming, and I'm training doctors all over the world, case by case, and I'm one of thousands. It's not just me alone. We have how many doctors now. In the Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine, we have nearly 800,000 health providers in our group. The American College for Advancement of Medicine, we've probably got 250,000. The American Academy of Environmental Medicine, smaller, is probably in the range of 5,000 around the world. But we're changing everything. And the other doctors, if they don't get on board, they're just going to be left in the dark ages with their bucket of leeches, which is polypharmacy, inappropriate surgery, and basically what I call pre-embalming treatment, where they're not really helping the patient, they're just helping the patient into their grave early. So people are getting wise, just like got wise of politics. So I want you to pick out your favorite Christmas nutraceuticals, because it's too late to get it delivered there by Christmas Day, but it will be delivered between Christmas and New Year's. And our big sale is coming up next week on Thursday, right through to the 3rd of January. And I want people to understand, I make this service possible 365, 7 days a week, including even over Christmas. If you have an urgent request, you can email me and I will provide you a protocol no matter what your condition, not only for you, but for your animals. I get dog requests, horse requests, budgie bird requests. You wouldn't believe all the stuff. And believe it or not, our biology is not all that different from your pet doggy. So, Ryan, what's your favorite today?
Well, I think, as you're saying, we're getting in towards the new year, and everybody's going to be thinking about what they want to do for, starting the new year out right.
Do they want to live? Do they want to have a terminal illness? Do they want to die of inappropriate care by doctors who only have a small bailiwick of things in their little chest, and they won't even collaborate with chiropractors, herbologists, naturopaths, detox agents, or anybody? Whether it's IV chelation therapy or oral chelation, they don't want to collaborate with anybody. And if the patient fails, it's the patient's just non-compliant. No, that's hogwash. We're dealing with incredibly complex things, and we need to have data. When I ask the average doctor if they do this or that test to find out, or imaging study, and we're talking about conventional things that are not even into what I call deep alternative medicine, tests that can be done at certified federal labs, it's mind-boggling. As I say, Einstein made the statement, genius is quantifiable, stupidity and ignorance is limitless. And believe me, I have lots of evidence for it. It's mind-boggling. And the main thing I tell people is, I don't think I know everything, but I ask so many questions, I know more than the average because I've asked 1,000 times more questions. And if you ask 1,000 times more questions, you're going to know marginally more. And if I go into an area which you don't know, I start asking enough questions within a matter of days, hours, and weeks. I am a prescient expert in that area. So it doesn't matter what the challenge is. If you take an attitude toward the process of learning and the fact that you don't mind being ignorant, you can fix things, whether you're a cardiologist or you're dealing with a spiritual issue or geopolitical. So Ryan, let's tackle one of the biggies that's going to happen over holidays. A lot of people in these holidays are going to turn diabetic. A lot of people over these holidays feeding sugar are going to feed their cancer, and it's going to explode either now or in the new year. So let's pick those two. What's your favorite nutraceuticals in those two areas?
Well, I think I would try to encourage people to get the shakes like glycemic meal as one of the best ways to work with right off the bat, and also to help to stimulate for weight loss as they approach the new year, make their resolutions of what they're trying to accomplish. Most of the time, people are like, I'd like to lose a certain amount of weight. But trying to just do it by going to the store, picking out the right foods, and then saying, hey, the next morning you're going to be up and at 'em and cooking the right things right off the bat. Realistically, that's only going to happen maybe for a little period of time. The shakes really help people to find that balance between the time and busyness of their lives and the nutrients that they need to fuel their body in the right way. So I would go with glycemic meal right off the bat because, as you say, one of the reasons people can, as you're saying, kind of stimulate the growth of diabetes or fuel abnormal cell growth or something like that is the kind of foods that we're putting in our body, especially around the holidays, are highly inflammatory.
It's a cocktail for catastrophic illness.
Yeah, and glycemic meal can be used even just a half serving before you're going to go to those parties or before the meals, and really knock down not only the carbohydrate onslaught, which is going to spike the blood sugar, but the inflammatory stuff that comes from the high-fat foods as well, the lipopolysaccharide kind of flush that we get, and that just drives a lot of inflammatory molecule release. And so you can calm those things down. And also, glycemic meal is so effective at helping to escort glucose into the cells to be burned or utilized as fuel, which is what you're looking for. People want energy. Here's the big thing. The energy's stuck outside the cell. because you don't have the adequate capabilities to get it in the cell. And so these nutrients help it to do that, be burned effectively, and also start working on burning the the white fat in your body.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about that for a minute. One of the best ways to convert white fat to brown fat is Cell Defense Plus. The other one, of course, is Forskolin, but let's talk about Cell Defense Plus. This is one of the most important markers for getting rid of cancer mother cells. Most people are aware of this, but you can actually use flow cytometry to separate cancer stem cells. 100% of people that survive cancer have cancer stem cells still in their blood. Did you know that? 100%. Now, those cancer mother cells, if they ever transform and become cancer again, they are always radiation resistant and chemo resistant to the previous protocols. So if you go back to the previous cycles, if you had some success with suppressing the cancer, I can damn well guarantee you that it's completely resistant with these new cancer mother cells. They have developed genetic alterations to be completely resistant to your chemo program you had before. Now, the problem is people don't understand this inflammatory cytokines, cell changes that promote cancer. The Cell Defense Plus, along with malignant arrest, malignant block, ellagic acid, full vitamin K2, and high-dose Power C will shut off the gene changes that cause cancer. Cancer is a progressive process caused by anaerobic metabolism and gene changes for the cell to survive stress. And there's two pathways. It can either create antigen surface changes, which cause autoimmune disease, or it can cause genetic changes where the cell lengthens the telomeres, no longer is inhibited with growth, and then can metastasize. It's real that simple. Autoimmune disease and cancer have the same root. Anaerobic metabolism, sugar metabolism, and if you shut off their energy with malignant arrest and use things like glycemic meal, because cancer is fed by two things, sugar and insulin. Did you know that? And it suppresses IGF-1. And if the problem is if you feed cancer with sugar, you're going to kill yourself. That's why our cancer rates are so damn high now, because people have so many highly absorbed carbohydrates. Now, sugar is also a great patch for free radicals. So hemoglobin A1C, when you see a diabetic, isn't the ultimate goal to get your HbA1c down. It's to get your free radicals down. And people don't get that. That's why they don't understand that the blindness that goes on with diabetes to the vascular failure, including congestive heart failure and hypertension and renal failure, is all due to free radicals. That's why things like transketolase stimulation with ultrathymine B1 and vein-away diosmin protects the renal loop of Henle, and it protects your eyes and your retina, because the transketolase enzyme is very essential to protecting against peripheral neuropathy, vasculopathy, and renal failure. And I've seen diabetics literally reverse kidney damage where they've lost half their kidney function from non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs like Cytotec. I have a close relative, actually, who was a pharmacist, who unfortunately took Cytotec because he had spinal pain, and he lost half his kidney function in 2 weeks. And I put him on just ultrathymine B1, and in 6 months his kidney function returned to normal on his 24-hour creatinine clearance test done by his nephrologist. So does the average doctor know this? Hell no. Not on your life they're going to know this. And it's really dangerous, because something as simple as fat-soluble thiamine can protect you from peripheral neuropathy, which happens in 100% of diabetics after 20 years of diabetes. And many of those people are going to result in amputations because of Charcot joints, or they're going to get peripheral vascular disease or congestive heart failure because their vessels don't have a contractile peristaltic wave in response to the heart. And as a result, they're going to end up with amputations and congestive heart failure and sudden cardiac death. It's really disgusting what's going on, isn't it? In the sense that it's, people are trying to make it more complex than it is. There's some very fundamental things. They just need to... It's real simple. So when we give somebody a diabetic, we tell them take gamma E plus to get rid of peroxynitrate, which is hellish for the brain and the blood vessels. You got to get rid of peroxynitrate. You take cell detox glutathione to stop the hydroperoxy radical. You take things like our NutriDefense with superoxidismutase, and then the Minerals and Minerals Plus, copper, zinc, selenium, to actually support superoxidismutase 1 and 2 isoenzymes. That's what happens first, because if you have inflammation like leukotriene B4, which UCSD published February 2015, is the cause of diabetes for macrophages, adipocytes, etc., we know now that diabetes and obesity are inflammatory conditions. Duh. Yet, do you think it's percolated down to clinical practice? Absolutely not. It's amazing, isn't it?
Sure is. It's frightening.
Yeah, well, I don't take captives, and that's why, you notice that I think the last time I had a doctor that was stupid enough to call into my show and disagree with me, and I did what I call an intellectual vivisection, which is, by the way, if you know what a vivisection is, it's a live dissection of a non-anesthetized animal or person. I did an intellectual vivisection on air. And believe me, by the time I was finished, there were body parts of his brain all over the table. It wasn't funny. Now, you have to understand, I'm not doing this to be cruel. I'm doing it because your ignorance is going to kill your patients, or your ignorance as a patient, because you aren't Dr. You, is going to kill you or your relatives, or make you demented or blind or go into renal failure. It's really sad, isn't it? Now, as we approach the season, we tell people this is not a minor thing. I mean, we have a huge audience, but the number of people that actually take advantage of it, considering how many people listen to the program, is minuscule compared to those that should be. It really is. I don't want to tell people the ratio. We still, help an awful lot of people every day. But if the people that should be helped and should ask for help, it's a tiny fraction of the people that listen and just walk away ignorant and then suffer. It's sad, isn't it? Very sad. So pick out a couple nutraceuticals besides that you like. Malignant arrest for cancer. What do you think of that one? Malignant arrest. I call it that because it arrests malignancy. It shuts off the hexose monophosphate sugar metabolism, and it also, by the way, shuts off the sugar metabolism that drives autoimmune disease, because your cells don't manifest antigens changes on the cell surface from stealth pathogens as you shut down the sugar metabolism, because when a cancer or autoimmune disease is arising, the tissues are going anaerobic under stress. It's that simple. All autoimmune and cancer cells are anaerobic. Period. Do you think the average doctor knows that? Absolutely not. They don't understand intermediate metabolism. They don't want you to confuse them. It'll ruin their day. What do you think, Ryan?
No, it's Dr. Bill, that's so true.
People say, I think you're just nuts, Diggle, you're manic. I said, look, I'm driven. I've been driven like this for years. I went into medicine as an ecologist in 1973. That's 43 years ago. And I'm not impressed with the medical profession overall. Now, there's a lot of good doctors, because in our academies, there's a lot of doctors that get it. But the rest of them, as far as I'm concerned, are brain dead and dangerous. They're going to put you in harm's way, because they're going to say, if my 3 or 4 drugs, which many of them have black box warnings, don't work, you're just a bad patient. Or you have, we call PPP, piss poor protoplasm. That's not funny. Right? And having fought and won over my own personal health issues, and having helped so many other people, I'm not willing to take captives anymore. I'm not willing to compromise and say, well, you have a valid point. You can take toxic drugs and everything will be fine. It won't be fine. It's like telling kids you can play with blasting caps and high explosives and you won't blow your hands off. I'm sorry, you're going to blow yourself up. You are. And yeah, there are a few drugs, but it's shrinking, that are still safe to use in different combinations. For example, for diabetes, we tell people they can take glucophage, but still people get diarrhea, stomach cramps, and they get other problems that happen even with glucophage. But a lot of other drugs, you can go down and listen to the TV, and you see this diabetic and that diabetic drug, and it can cause ketoacidosis, it can result in renal failure, peripheral neuropathy, and sudden death. I'm thinking, whoa, all these legal firms that have MDs and that are also JDs on staff, they're just drooling with buco box to sue the hell out of these drug companies. They're charging major amounts. We had one drug that just one of my patients online contacted me a week ago, and this drug, Trulicity, is $750 a month, and it's got a mind-boggling kind of side, which I'll be doing an update in the early new year. We have technology. We have the PPRDI in New York. We also are opening up a clinic in Northern California here for both QRMA and metapathia, and there's dozens of people that want to actually start doing QRMA tests because they already have a machine and can offer it to their local people in their part of the country or their country anywhere in the world. And I will do an analysis to tell you exactly what your needs are for NutriMeds, and even if you want to keep your skepticals on, I call it rather than spectacles, your skepticals, and you want to do blood, urine, stool tests, and imaging, I can validate what tests to do to tell you that the nutraceuticals you're taking are appropriate for what your problems are now, even before you get symptoms or overt disease. And that's really unique. People say, well, how can you do that? I said, these are tests. I mean, to me, it's like I'm a concert pianist, and the keyboard is all these advanced biochemical tests, imaging studies, MRI, CT scans, quantitative EEGs, Prometheus analysis of your 23andMe. That's my keyboard. To me, it's so easy, it's like breathing. It's not hard, okay? Now, I can train a doctor, and it'll take years, but I like to train him case by case. And I want you to understand, when we have experts on like Ryan, we've got the most powerful nutraceuticals on the planet. You can't get something that sounds similar and go to Vitacost or Amazon or whatever and figure you're gonna second guess. And you can't also put it together in what I call an artful way, a combination of right nutraceuticals, diet, lifestyle, and other technology to have a serious positive multiplicative effect to make you well. Maybe you need to take the NutriMeds, but you also need hyperbaric oxygen or lumen photon or micropulse or matrix pulse therapy or stem cell peptides or even a stem cell transplant. Maybe you need other technologies that we have, and some that are in development, but you have to understand, without the right NutriMeds in your body, there's no way you're going to heal. These are not going to be present in your diet at dosages that are going to have a biological effect. They're not, just not there. And you have to also make sure you take what you need and not what you think you need, because you create deficiencies by creating imbalances or taking toxic polypharmacy. Toxic polypharmacy, people should know, produces a lot of deficiency states, a lot of blocks, a lot of all kinds of nasty stuff happens. Ryan, I want to say a quick prayer to people. Dear God, bless the people out there with the truth about functional medicine. That this is the key to life extension, a disease-free elderly life, a life free of suffering and pain. Let them understand what we're trying to teach is to preach to if not their doctors that are within their reach, and health professionals, chiropractors, naturopaths, herbologists, to realize that we're a team, and God is leading that team to tell us if we use logic and consideration and the patient's always first, and we have evidence-based, which means like a carpenter, measure twice and cut once. Most doctors, most health professionals are either waiting for symptoms or they don't even know how to properly either the right test to do or how to interpret those tests to know if they're on track. A good example, Ryan, and I just want to mention this, is Lyme disease. How many people know that you need to do not only the immunotoxicology of the possible up to 34 different subtypes of Lyme in North America and Europe, but also an eye-spot Lyme test to see if you have IFN gamma indicating you have active T lymphocytes. How many doctors know that without the eye-spot Lyme test and the other immunology, you don't know what the hell you're doing, if you're talking about even Lyme? How many do you think know? None. We're pretty damn close.
Yeah, sorry. I go with zero.
Even close to zero, even if you're an infectious disease expert.
There's definitely a handful of experts out there that understand it, but yeah, very few.
Yeah, it's very few. I mean, and I try to refer to these people. I tell people, if in your state you want to have a local doctor that belongs to one of our academies, by all means. But if they're at a junior level and they started, I'll act as a background consultant to help them because they're already open to learning. But please don't ask me to ever call your doctor and try to start a learning process with them. I had someone up in where was it? It was up in the northern state, Montana. And they wanted me to talk to their internist about their diabetes. And the internist was saying that Trulicity was identical to our nutraceutical protocol for diabetes. Not. Now, there are some drugs that I will say marginally can be helpful, but there's several criteria for diabetes. Number one, you do not want to raise blood insulin levels. You want to lower insulin resistance and glucagon levels. You want to lower cortisol levels. You want to increase GLUT4 transport. You want to stop free radicals. But let me tell you, if you follow the knuckleheads out there, and there's no shortage of them, they're going to harm you. So I will only talk to someone if they'll call me. If they'll call me, I will teach them. And believe me, they will get a PhD level training to tell them what to do to not harm their patients. And we want to, although there's a layer of anger here, it's because we love you out there. We want to pray for your health, because if you don't have your health, what do you have? I don't care how rich you are. I don't care how many loving relationships you have. If you're sick and dying, you're soon not going to be here to enjoy that. And so, can we bless you with many future Christmases and New Years where you can see, hear, walk, talk? You're no longer becoming demented and can't recognize your relatives, or you're so disabled you can't walk or move, or you had amputations, or you had complications. You have to understand that this Christmas, New Year's, there's an explosion of diseases after people kind of exceed their alcohol, sugar, and exotic food intake. And they go through excessive stress. That's why I refer to Christmas as Stressmas, which is why one of our biggest sales over the holidays is Calm Mind and Brain Mag. Let's talk about these for a minute, because we had a lady just recently when I was up this morning, and she was ordering it. She lives in Hidalgo, Mexico, and she loves this stuff. And she's ordering like three packs, 6 packs, I think. 6-pack. Why do people love Calm Mind and Brain Mag so much, Ryan? Why is it so important for insomnia, agitation, anxiety, and just stress that's going to kill you?
Yeah. You know, Dr. Bell, the reason it's important is because most of our brains are firing signals, including serotonin and dopamine and things that are designed to help us keep us calm and relaxed and not to have to crave alcohol, sugar, carbohydrate. We can create those signals, those neurotransmitter messenger molecules. However, if they're not expressed internally, meaning there needs to be enough, like in this case, myo-inositol is in the family of B vitamins, to basically create an intracellular communication, and so that it expresses itself properly, and so that is where Calm Mind comes in and totally changes the game, where people are using, whether it be a medication or an herb or something, to try to overwhelm the system to push the signal through. Instead, it's like, quit pushing so hard and make sure that it's just communicated all the way through. And that's what we're looking at with this formulation. And man, does it make a difference. In the time frame of making a difference, usually if you take the right dose, anywhere from 1, 2, 3 scoops at one time, 20 minutes, and you can have a profound effect on how you're doing. And that would come in handy for a lot of people for the holiday season and the new year and any time that they're dealing with stress and cravings and anxiety.
Well, what do you think is in my big thermos? I have one of these Aladdin thermal jugs, 32 ounce.
Yeah.
It's got a great big, not just 1 scoop, probably 2 scoops each of Calm Mind and Brain Mag in there to keep me calm, because I want to help people, and I'm frustrated because I want to help and train more doctors. I want more people. I want each year to see a massive increase in the knowledge level, because, you know, the problem is that although there's thousands of us doctors, we're not going to be here forever. We got to impart our knowledge to the population, so they drag their doctor kicking and screaming into the 21st century. So they realize the toxic polypharmacy, or a single bailiwick of things, whether it's chiropractic, herbology, or even conventional medicine and surgery, is not the whole story. Functional medicine covers everything. So maybe you need a deep tendon tissue massage. Maybe you need to have infrared sauna. Maybe you need to have oral IV chelation and oral chelation. Maybe you need nutraceuticals to correct your bodily problems so you don't end up basically going blind or becoming demented. And people say, well, you can't cure that. I said, I don't like to use the word cure, because the fatal drugs lab people stole the word and said, only drugs can cure. Nutraceuticals and other technologies can't cure anything. What a pile of hogwash. It's really crazy, isn't it?
It is, but like you said, you know, cure is a word that it's misused anyway, because
I don't want to use it. I would like to say
managing, correcting these things. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd say functional remission. How's that? Functional remission means we've fixed enough of the deficiency states and imbalances, the inflammation and so on, that your body can come back into balance, which means the symptoms and the underlying biochemical, physiological imbalances are corrected. So for now, you're okay. You know, we can't say if you change your lifestyle and deteriorate, or if you don't take nutraceuticals, you're going to stay that way. But if you continue to persist, I've had some people take nutraceuticals for a few months and say, I'm all better. I don't need them anymore. I said, are you crazy? Somebody asked, so how long should I take them, doc? I said, how long do you want to live? And they go, oh, why? I said, because we corrected your imbalances. We may not need to give you quite as much. For example, when I do a QRMA test or functional medicine blood test, your dosage may drop a lot or even change to different things that you need, but you're going to need things to keep yourself in balance. So that the average person on a QRMA test takes 1/3 to 1/2 what they were at the first of the year, and half of the things they take are completely new and different. People don't know that. They think, well, I'm just going to start taking these things and they'll eventually kind of fix everything because I'll just throw a whole bunch of stuff against the wall and it'll work. You can actually create deficiency and imbalance states by taking things you don't need. So that's why they need help. Okay? It's important to understand these are powerful nutraceuticals, and if you take things you don't need, you're going to create relative deficiency states of minerals, vitamins. For example, I saw a study just a month ago from China where they gave these women, actually were hundreds of thousands, taking activated folic acid because it was cheap as hell in China, and they created a vitamin B12 deficiency. So if you're going to take, you want to take something like BioLVR that has activated vitamin B6, B12, and folic acid, so you don't screw yourself up by taking things you don't need, or a dosage is so high it creates relative deficiencies. So if you take a ton of zinc, you're going to get copper deficiency, and all the copper-dependent enzymes are going to get screwed up. Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
It's a lot more to it, and people say, well, I thought it was simple. If it was so simple, everybody could do it. They can't. That's why they need to email me, and I'll tell them, this is based on your history and your tests, either physical tests or QRMA. This is what you need to do now. I did a recent QRMA myself. All my minerals are fine, except for I needed to increase my collagen max a little bit, which is fine, but I needed to increase my potassium a whole lot. So potassium magnesium citrate is the what you need. My magnesium was good. I was taking plenty of it. So if you don't test, you don't know. It's like a carpenter. Measure twice, cut once. But a lot of people think, well, no, I just take all this stuff. And no. You want to take what you need. Now, some things, you can pretty go high limits, like, Power C+. This is a very unique vitamin C. The only neutral pH vitamin C in the world, calcium, magnesium, sodium, potassium, ascorbate. And it's better than even liposomal because although it's more absorbed than liposomal on average per gram, the dosages are itty-bitty, teeny minuscule. If you're trying to suppress cancer and autoimmune disease, you want dosages that are really high, like I call Edinburgh, Scotland dosages where Linus Pauling had a clinic for cancer. Or autoimmune disease. Most people aren't aware that even cataracts is due to a vitamin C deficiency in the eye. Did you know that? That when you see somebody developing a cataract, they have a vitamin C deficiency because they are cross-linking proteins in the stroma of their lens, and it's caused by ascorbic acid deficiency that will recycle and prevent oxidative stress. We have things like Nutrimedical, like it's not just ALA, which if you give somebody ALA, alpha lipoic acid, it only lasts 20 to 35 minutes in your bloodstream. Our Nutrimedical will last 8 to 12 hours. So if you're trying to stop glycation of proteins, you want Nutrimedical and carnosine D-link, and for your eyes, dimethylcarnosine developed by Dr. Babachev at the Russian Academy of Sciences and Ophthalmology. But, people need to understand the science of this and realize what's the pharmacology, how often do you need to take it, and why is this different than if I go to Vitacost or Amazon? Because you're going to get inappropriate advice, you're going to get inferior nutraceuticals, they're not going to be the activated states, and they're not going to be bioavailable. It's like, duh. They want to simplify and say, well, what I get now sounds like what Dr. Deagle has. Not. That's why NutriMeds are so unique, isn't it? I mean, we just pick one out. Pick out, let's say, mitothyroid. I talked to a company because I was developing new nutraceuticals, so I called one company up, Abco Labs, and I said, well, I want your business. So really, we said, we'll make your thyroid for you. I said, no, I have an excellent thyroid that's thyroid, adrenal, and hypothalamus. You're not going to make my thyroid. I'm very happy with my thyroid. So I'm thinking, what I was doing is trying to just re-encapsulate the Mountain Red Velvet. And I've actually, it's called Gelu-Caps. It's a special capsule. And we just wanted to Gelu-Cap the Mountain Red Velvet so it survives through the terminal ileum. These guys, they're so, they want to have hundreds of thousands of capsules and all sorts of stuff. And the problem is, I look beyond that. I was thinking, look, I wanted to have a special product to target for my customer patients so that they will get well from conditions that their doctors think you can't conquer. And it happens all the time. We have so many people that overcome peripheral neuropathy, blindness, autoimmune diseases, multiple sclerosis attacks, diabetic peripheral neuropathy, cardiac arrhythmias, heart failure, early dementia, post-traumatic stress disorder. And I'm not against other technologies like eye movement desensitization therapy, but you might need fancy technology like hyperbaric oxygen on top of our NutriMeds, and you might need other things in order to make your brain heal. It's not just one size fits all. You need to do the whole orchestra of wellness things to make it work. But the most important thing is you got to have the right combination of NutriMeds, which I'll provide for you, free if you just email me. Free. That's a pretty big deal, isn't it? To be able to just email Deagle. And if you really want to talk, put a time window and some phone numbers, and I'll call you. Free. Now, it's only when we start getting into big medical records and I have to review charts and labs and look at MRIs and other scans, I'm going to charge you for my time. Otherwise, if you just email me, I'll tell you what to do. Do you know anybody else that's doing that free anywhere in the world, Ryan?
I do not.
And you would not believe how many I do a day. Some days are so nuts. 40 or 50 in a day. All over the world. And sometimes having to contact people by Skype and phone all over the planet. And they think, oh. And not just about people. It'll be, I got one yesterday that was about somebody's friend's dog who's their veterinarian screwing the dog up and killing the dog. I'm thinking, all I do is look at their notes and thinking, this is not smart, what the hell they're doing. I'm thinking, they're trained as a vet and they're going to kill the animal. You know? And I get novel ones that you're like, whoa, that's really strange. You know, somebody's got a fungal abscess in their upper lobe of their lung, and even infectious disease has no idea how to stop it, because the typical antifungal drugs are so toxic, if you're already fragile, it'll kill you and put you in liver failure. But we have nutraceuticals that'll take it out. Allison Med, Nutriodine, our Tesla-activated monatomic iodine, and our NutriSilver, which I designed. Nobody else in the world has anything like these. Period. Even our Allison Med, and we have a German source, gives the 200 milligrams more per capsule than Alamed by Peter Jostling, the chemist in Britain 25 plus years ago. It's a prescription in Europe, Great Britain, Australia, New Zealand. It gives you 200 milligrams more, and it's half the price of Alamed. Why would you want to do that? If you're a mother in South Florida or you're potentially could get pregnant, if you're not taking Alamed, it's a criminal omission on your part, because the biting insects aren't even going to bite you if you have this in your system. They're going to smell the thiol compounds coming into your sweat glands, and they're going to go, not today, I'm not biting that lady. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And then not only that, the intracellular parasites aren't going to get into your endoplasmic reticulum and cause an upholding protein response, so your UPR response is going to cause a selective neurotoxic effect against specific neurons, so only your reptilian brain will survive. And even if you survived birth and you're kind of marginally microcephalic, it's going to continue eating away at your brain and your eyes after you're born. People know this now. The research has come out. This is a very serious, infectious and genetic plague. And it's tied directly to the release of these Oxitec OX513A genes. The guy I trained under in the 70s was a bioweaponeer, Dr. Robert Brown. He worked in Bethesda and worked in the bioweapons program in the United States military. So I know lots of really, 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 really classified stuff. And people don't understand these new plagues are really damn dangerous, but we have nutraceuticals that'll immobilize them. Kill them all. No intracellular parasites, no survival, even hepatitis B and C. We can turn it off. No DNA copies present in your blood of hepatitis B and C or even the AIDS virus, just with our nutraceuticals. That's pretty cool, isn't it? No detectable copies. And a lot of people aren't aware that many illnesses we have, even esophageal cancer, is tied directly to the presence of stealth pathogens in the columnar cells of their esophagus that's causing cancer cell transformation. They're not aware of that, are they? No. This is long after the Australian guy that discovered Helicobacter pylori caused esophagitis and gastric erosions and so on. It wasn't caused by excessive acid. It's by destruction of the acid mucosal barrier by a stealth pathogen called Helicobacter pylori. Interestingly, it's endemic in China, but because they have a lot of garlic and other herbals in their food, they don't die of it or to get cancer or other problems that happen because of the presence of Helicobacter. Otherwise, they'd have all kinds of gastric erosions and ulcers and, small bowel overgrowth and all kinds of other bad stuff. It's because of their diet. But it's way better if you have high-powered nutraceuticals that are far exceed that. For example, the average person in India has a fraction of the rate of cancer, of heart disease, and of embolic events. And the dosages, though, of things like curcumin are only like 8 milligrams a day equivalent even in their diet. And what's in an average cell defense plus? Is it, 300 or 350 milligrams of super high absorption?
Well, it's a 500 milligram capsule.
Oh, yeah. And people need to understand this. If you've had cancer before, you need to be on the ellagic acid that repairs DNA from the terminella trabeculia. You need to be on malignant block. You need to be on high-dose Power C and full vitamin K2 metaquinone 7. And you need to be taking Cell Defense Plus, which gets rid of the cancer mother cells. It actually makes them go away. That's pretty cool. You can do flow cytometry and show the cancer mother cells are disappearing when you take Cell Defense Plus. It's amazing. There's when I more research Cell Defense Plus in terms of protecting against dementia, cardiac disease, cancer cell transformation, cytokine levels in the body, and even stealth pathogens that can affect chronic fatigue syndrome and so on. It's amazing. It really is. And the artful combination of these things can transform your life. You know, if you got somebody that's getting early dementia, well, marker test. People say, well, what would you test them? I said, I'd do a quantitative electroencephalogram with a PhD neuroscientist or psychologist. I do a T1 weighted MRI to look where they get patchy dysmyelination. I would do a positron emission tomography scan to see where the metabolic areas of hypoactivity are. And I do a SPECT blood flow scan to look for blood flow in the brain to see if they have marginal blockages or spasm of different areas of the brain, including the hippocampus and the association cortex. And I do neuropsychological testing, and then I would look at their nutritional status, including blood tests, QRMA, and metapathia. And then I would set a protocol, including hyperbaric oxygen and remyelination, to remyelinate the pathways, restore the neurotransmitters, restore blood flow to their brain, and lo and behold, they stop being demented. That gives you an example. And we want to bless you with wonderful health in 2017. So become a NutriMed Santa. You can still order now, and it'll get after Christmas. Think of the Christmas elves dropping presents between Christmas and New Year's. It's still okay. And not only that, realize we got the sale coming up. So if you can't make it right now, next week, next Thursday, which is only a week away, our sale's on. And it'll be on for like 5 or 6 days. It's going to be on from Thursday the 29th right through to January 3rd, 2017. Wow, hard to think of numbers like that. It's like, you know, are we getting older or wiser? I don't know. I hope both. And hopefully healthier, that we're cloning ourselves into a new healthier body. Ryan, what recommendations would you tell people to stay healthy in 2017? What would you be the primary message you'd like to tell people? Because, I want people to understand how unique what our NutriMeds are and how the artful and scientifically based what we're doing is, and how long it takes sometimes to even develop and launch nutraceuticals like our Omega Krill, which took years before we found a supplier that would give us the highest grade astaxanthin, wouldn't destroy us through the process, or forms of omega fatty acids like our new Omega Pro, which we're going to launch shortly. That's a monoglyceride form that increases absorption dramatically, or nutraceuticals like Combine Brain Mag. These are amazing nutraceuticals you can't get with a special diet. Doesn't matter how good your organic diet is. You can't.
Right. Well, Dr. Bill, I think that when people look at what can they do every day, something that's really bioavailable like Vitamineral Max on an ongoing basis is going to be a really good start for a lot of people. It's just a fundamental platform thing so that you're not missing any of these micronutrients that you need, and that it's bioavailable. I guarantee last year people can look back and they've used a whole bunch of multivitamin mineral formulas. Most of them never even get in the body to do anything. And so just start with something as fundamental as that is really profound. And then, I go...
What I do, my drink in the morning, by the way, is the glycemics, Ageless Life Support, and NutriComplete, and I put a little bit of oils in there too. And that's what I called my syrup. So I get about 6 ounces. My daughter gets between 4.5 and 5, and that's how we start off the day.
Yes, sir. And then so you get the drinks and then probiotics. Hard to say too much about how good and how important probiotics are. But again, what's available to people in general, even at health food stores, are very weak. They're not research strains. They're not at the dose level they need. So Living Probiotic and Living Probiotic Ultra, either one of those ongoing bases can be really big in dealing with digestive difficulties, but that also leads down to the immune system. And then it's coming in soon, but the Omega Supreme Pro, I think, would be on my top list for 2017 because most people that have used fish oil, again, the bioavailability of the fish oil and truly changing the cell membrane is very low. So this is going to be changed for 2017. Omega
and by the way, we're launching 2 to 3 minute videos on everything, all of our NutriMeds, which you'll see popping up over the next few days and weeks. That'll describe how to use them and how to use other nutraceuticals, NutriMeds with them. Again, remember, all the advice you need by email is free. Free, F-R-E-E, no charge. Just email me and I'll help you to implement and become your own Dr. You. God bless you. Merry Christmas to everybody, and may you have a NutriMed Santa Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
We'll be back in just a moment with hour number 3 coming up. You don't want to miss it with Tim Alexander. Tomorrow, first hour, Matthew, my son, is here, and he'll be in studio because he's moved back with us. And he will be talking about some very interesting issues. Stay tuned. Tim Alexander is joining us in a minute with major updates to world.